Welcome to Meditation and Mindfulness. We'll begin this week with a meditation. So let's find a comfortable seat. Um, get settled. We can close our eyes. Start to settle into your body. Feel your place in your body. Feel your bones. Feel your connection to the earth through your legs, through your feet. And feel your hips above your legs. Notice your torso stacking above the hips. Let's roll our shoulders up to our ears, and down and back, keeping them soft and relaxed while we sit. Align the neck above the shoulders. You can slightly tuck your chin and reach with the crown of your head up to the sky. So we'll begin tonight with a relaxation technique. So we can take a deep inhale. As we exhale, imagine a wave of relaxation washing down our body from the top of our head all the way down to our toes. So take another full inhale, filling up your lungs with air. As you exhale, just let that wave of relaxation cascade down your body, washing away all stress, all tension. Just let it all wash away down out of your body into the ground. So let's do that 3 more times on your own, taking a deep, full inhale, and then exhaling, allowing that relaxation to wash away all stress. If you have music and you want to hit play, you can do that now, or you can just sit in silence. And if you feel like it, you can continue with that relaxation technique, just letting the waves of relaxation wash down you. Or you can just sit and be still. It's up to you. We'll sit here for a few minutes. As you're ready, you can start deepening your inhales, bringing your awareness back into the physical body. When you're ready, you can open your eyes and rejoin us. There's no rush. So how's everyone doing now?
Pardon me.
Feeling good? Are you doing good?
Relaxed.
Great. So, any questions or any comments before I start talking about this week's topics? Cool. So this week I wanted to talk about the spiritual path in a nutshell. So I'm going to sum it all up for you guys. And this is influenced largely from Alan Watts. And I want to talk a little bit about Mr. Watts. So I discovered his teachings after I had left my meditation group. So I studied intensely with my meditation teacher for 10 years. The yoga guys know this, but for 10 years, my life revolved around this meditation group. And I studied intensely, based largely in Buddhism. And then after I left the path, I'd advanced as far as I could. I learned as much as I could from that teacher, and it was time to leave the group and go off on my own and start learning from the world. And it was shortly after that I discovered Alan Watts and his teachings, mostly just from recordings of his lectures. I got a couple audiobooks that are recordings of lectures he gave back in the 60s. And I would just kind of listen to them on repeat while I was doing other things, like walking around or washing the dishes or cleaning the house. So just let these words, he's talking about really esoteric stuff, really complicated topics. So I just would let it play in my mind, and over time I'd start seeing the kind of patterns and stuff he was talking about, and it really helped me make sense of everything I had experienced from my meditation teacher. And so one of the topics he talks about is the spiritual path. And I guess before I start talking, let's open it up for discussion. So what do you all think the point of a spiritual path is? Like, what's the goal? Any ideas?
To overcome the human condition of suffering.
Yeah, there's no wrong answer. There's no wrong answer. Just want to hear what you all think about it.
I would say finding God within us, finding, our divinity.
Yeah, great answer. Also, Alan, what's your take?
Yeah, I see it as returning to our true form. Mm-hmm. Before we were tainted with earthly and worldly matters.
Mm. Yeah. So you guys are like pinch hitters. Exactly. The way Alan Watts talked about it, which I found really helpful, was he said that the spiritual path is a journey to where you are right now, a journey to where you already are. And it sounds kind of like a cop out. And my meditation teacher at the start, she said stuff like this to us also, that we can all be enlightened right now if we would just let ourselves, but we don't know, we don't believe that we can be, we don't know what that means. And so we feel that we have to go do all this stuff, visit places, study stuff. We often think we need to suffer a lot on the spiritual path, right? But really what we're doing is just taking a journey back to ourselves. But often we have to visit all these other places along the way before we figure out that where we're going is not anywhere out there, but actually just within us the whole time. But that's it's really hard for us to try to grasp or understand what that, I mean, what does that even mean to get back to your source, to find God within us, to escape the human condition of suffering? I mean, that's the real question. And so you guys are all doing great. You've skipped the first part where you're trying to find it elsewhere and come um, back to where we started. And so this is where kind of the real hard part gets, like, what does that mean? What does that mean to find ourselves? And so part of it is we feel that we still feel there's something more that we need, right? Or something we need to achieve, or something we need to become. I mean, we feel like for whatever reason, this present moment that we're in is not what we want, right? Because otherwise, what are we looking for? We feel like there's something out there that's going to happen to us, or we have to find that, there's at some moment in the future, then we'll find it, right? We'll find ourselves or find God. But we always have this idea that it's not in this present moment, but it's something in the future, something that we have to find or get. But kind of the whole essence of the path is realizing that this very moment right now is all that there is, and just letting that sink in. Right? It's just now, just this moment. Because what do we need besides this moment? So this isn't a rhetorical question. What is stopping you at this moment from having all of those things that you guys just answered? What's in the way?
Our mind.
Well, that's like the generic answer. What does that mean to you, that your mind is in the way?
That you're talking yourself, you're thinking about yesterday or tomorrow, or you're just distracted from that core.
Right?
And you
Yeah.
also tell yourself that no, I'm not there. I'm not, you doubt yourself.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Anyone else want to chime in? So what's stopping you from in this moment from finding yourself?
Just being a human.
Yeah. What does that mean?
It means that I understand that we could let go of what's preventing us from letting go. But I think that we're actually here to have the experiences, and it's a balance in this form. Easier said than done. And we're supposed to experience everything that we're experiencing, because if we were just enlightened, then we wouldn't be in this form. I don't think. I'm at a plateau with that.
Yeah. A plateau with what?
I don't know how to get past that myself right now.
Get past what exactly?
Failing in the game of balance of being a human, being a spiritual entity in a human form.
Yeah. So why do you think you're failing?
Because it's so hard and I'm tired.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, so how do you know that feeling that it's hard and tired? How do you know that's not exactly where you're supposed to be right now?
I appreciate those words more than you know, because I think that's my current conclusion, is that everything is the way that it's supposed to be, just right here, right now. This is supposed to be feeling this way.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's because the very thing that stops us from being there, getting to the end of the journey, finding ourselves, is the fact that we want to get there, right? As soon as we're trying to be anywhere than where we are, that's what creates the confusion. That's what creates the the stumbling block from getting there. It's thinking that there is another there to get to.
I love those words. They're new for me to hear those. And it should be talked about more in our world, in our societies, and our cultures, and ourselves. So I love your words. I want to hear more.
Thank you. Well, that's the thing. You don't really need that many words, but and I struggle with it too. I mean, I have moments when I kind of get it and I just feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be. But then there's other moments where I feel like I need to be doing all these other things. I need to be doing X and Y and making this happen. And that's the ego coming up. And so I think so one of the big problems is that we're born into these brains that are hardwired to think, to survive in this physical world. So you can kind of think of the consciousness, the mind, as the interface between our spiritual beings, our spiritual essence, and the physical world. We interface with the world through this mind, which in the mind, which is embodied in the physical brain. And the physical brain is hardwired with all this programming that for survival, because we evolved out of nature, we evolved out of animals where they lived in a constant struggle and battle for survival. So that feeling that we need to struggle is just hardwired into our brains. And that's the hard part to overcome, because you can't really overcome that with the mind, because it's the foundation upon which the mind is built. This assumption, this kind of foundational view that the world is struggle and we need to survive it. But the way to undo that programming is to stop trying to undo the programming. If that makes sense, but I guess it probably doesn't.
It makes sense.
Yeah, but I don't see you guys. I don't see your minds exploding with awareness. So what are the questions? I mean, I want to know, like, what's holding you back from finding this, from believing it?
And I say in my 20s, I was deeply in love, and we were attacked and fell apart. And I kept coming back from San Diego, from the East Coast, to be near this man who I really connect with on all levels. And we never could be together again. In fact, he got good at ignoring me. And I did degradation, I did humiliation, I crawled to be near him and got rejected again and again. And that was repeat of childhood. So in a way, the idea of being at home, of being safe, of belonging, I felt it for a short time in my life, and it was gone after that. And I never recovered it. I don't think I ever will. I'm coming to a point where, men show up and it's like I'm going through the motions. I don't connect with them. I don't feel their hearts. It's like I gave my heart away. It's gone. I'm sorry. I'm empty. And that's sad, and it's tragic, and probably what, Emily Dickinson wrote about, and Yeats and all those people. It's the tragedy of loving, that it's all that's worth living for in my world and impossible to have. And so when you say this moment is perfect, well, it is, and it's empty. I'm alone. I'm a herd animal. I don't want to be alone. And yet, if I bring someone in, it's not right. And I can't have what I want. So it's, what do? You just go on. right? Just put one foot in front of the other.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's you bring up a very good point. That's something I've struggled with a lot as well. And that's also part of our biological programming. I mean, we're programmed to mate. I mean, so that's a strong drive within us. And then there's all this cultural conditioning about love, how romantic love is the kind of the reason for existing. If you listen to some of those, I mean, lots of our cultural stories, movies, books are all about the wonders of romantic love and finding that soulmate that'll make us feel complete. And yeah, so that conditioning gets in the way, and that and all that conditioning is always telling us that what we need is something outside of ourselves. That's something that we don't have within us. So I think, Diane, have you been here when I've been talking about Maitri? That
Yeah.
yeah,
And
that
I agree in a way, but I mean, I can meditate, I can feel God in me and so on and have mystical experiences, and yet I'm alone. And I think that is not okay. That's just not okay with me. I don't know, of course, how much is programming, how much is Walt Disney, how much is keeping men away because I just can't bear to be ripped up again. So I'll keep them at a distance. I mean, it's really hard to psych yourself out. And God knows I've done 40 years of therapy and I'm worse than I was when I started, believe it or not. So the deal is, okay, I have to accept I'm alone. It's not going to work. I've come back and come back and come back. And I've got to go now because I can't get the medical care in this area I need. My body's broken down. My mind is broken down. My heart is broken down. I don't think it's self-pity. It's a reality. But it's just how it is. You know, I don't think I'll ever be okay just me by myself.
yeah,
I don't think I will.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you've been through a lot. Sounds like.
Yeah. And I mean, I've had world-class men chase my ass, but they didn't catch it because it wasn't mine to give. Isn't that weird? It was so weird. I just became aware, you know, I'm not present here. I don't know. He's not right. He's not right. And it wasn't a choice. It just was.
Yeah, like
And
you're
that's the deepest, deep connection to have with a human being, to know that. Then it's not right after that, you know?
yeah.
I know it's pessimistic and fatalistic and probably like a love song that went wrong, but I mean, it's just a fact, you know? It's like a duck that imprints, you know? And then you smell right and nobody else ever will or can smell right. Just saying, aren't I a downer?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you present a very compelling case for why you're alone. And I guess if you ever get sick of that, maybe you can start questioning some of those assumptions along the way. If you
I
want.
have so many times, but
Mhm.
it's never worked out. So yeah, I can't argue, and maybe it'll change. God, things change when you least expect it, right?
Mhm.
What life does.
Right.
I,
Yeah.
I gotta go somewhere. I don't even know where, I don't know when, but I gotta go. And
Good
that's a
question.
weird feeling. I've been in this house 30 years and I can't stay in my house. I can't keep my piano. I can't stay. I gotta go. Don't know where. How weird is that?
Diane, may I ask a question?
Certainly.
So thank you for being so open.
Thank you.
Do you want to change?
Yes, I pray for change. I pray for healing. Yeah.
And what do you do besides praying to try to change?
I've done therapy for 40 years. I have an MFT. Myself, I've done counseling and studied and read and prayed and gone to groups, and God, you know, I don't think I left many stones unturned, frankly.
So I want to just share that I like being alone. I like loneliness. So I just want to put that out there as a different viewpoint. And because
Why
I
do you
like,
like it?
because then I know that whatever happens, it's of my own choosing. And there isn't someone else that I get to blame or point a finger at. I'm not saying you're doing that, but that's
Sure.
how I choose being alone. So I rather enjoy it, because then when something isn't of my liking, I can turn to myself and say, I didn't like that, but I caused it, or I did it. So thank you for asking the question in reverse back to me, because I have to think about that.
It's beautiful you take responsibility, you know? That's beautiful.
And it makes me feel really good. And that I cope with it in that regard. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you.
Because
You're
I
a
can,
very beautiful woman, not just physically, but just energetically, presence. You know, you are a powerful woman. You must
Thank you.
draw people to you.
Well, Dan, I wanted to share that because I felt your pain. I felt your pain,
Oh.
and I couldn't sit here and not say something. So that's what I have to offer. I'm not your teacher. Matt's the teacher
Mhm.
today. Just wanted
Sure.
to, because
Thank
I
you.
felt, and I don't want to leave this and knowing that you have that pain. So that's just what I wanted to offer. That's all.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Helen.
Hope that was okay with everybody.
Lovely.
That sounds great. All right, let's meditate again. And since we're talking about love and the heart, let's meditate on the heart chakra. So if you'd like to use music, you can get that ready. I'll tell you when to hit play. So let's find our comfortable seat. Close our eyes. And let's visualize our heart. Visualize holding your heart in your hands in front of your chest. Maybe you want to actually physically put your hands on your chest, right on your heart, so you can feel it there. So imagine that your heart is cupped in your hands, and think of it, imagine you have like a baby bird in your hand that you just want it to feel warm and want it to feel loved. And so just imagine that you're hugging it close to you and just sending love into your heart. But think of it as something external to you. Think of something that you really want to feel loved, like a baby, an animal, something that is really adorable and cute, that just deserves all the love in the world. So just imagine that is your heart, and you're holding it in your hands and you're just loving on it and sending love and compassion into it. And so just focus on that while we sit for the next few minutes. Just focus on showering your heart with love. deepen your inhale, coming back into the physical. When you feel like it, opening your eyes, rejoining us. So I'd like to keep talking about this topic. I had another idea for the second half, but let's keep talking about this. And so I talked before about, we feel that this moment isn't all that there is. And I think maybe for a lot of us, because we've had moments where it's really easy to get swept up completely in the moment and be totally present. Do you know what I mean by that? And so because that's kind of the tricky part, because some circumstances do make it easier to be fully present in the moment and be completely there and feel our oneness with the universe. And so it can help to try to change our circumstances, to try to create circumstances around us that are more conducive to that spiritual state, to that feeling of oneness. And that's a very good thing to do. But changing our circumstances can only take us so far, right? It's kind of like you can make big improvements in your circumstances, but it's always kind of the thing where maybe you can get halfway there each time. And so you might feel like you're getting a lot closer at first, making you halfway there, but eventually after a while, you're not making as big advancements. You're never going to get there eventually, just trying to change your circumstances. But that being said, if you're really stuck, a radical alteration in your circumstances can help. I mean, that's what I needed to do. I was stuck in my 9-to-5 job, and I was at a plateau. I wasn't advancing anywhere. Because when we have a very set routine that we go through in life, our minds tend to get caught up in these kind of like computer programs that we're just kind of on autopilot. I'm sure you all know that feeling when at least that's how I felt like in my 9-to-5 job. Like I was just going through life, reacting on autopilot. Because my day-to-day existence was so very similar from day to day that I just felt like I'm just doing the same things, living in this routine. And that helps keep our mind trapped in this idea that we're not where we are right now. It's all related, from the physical all the way up to the mental and emotional and the spiritual. It's all one big part. They're all different pieces of the puzzle. So sometimes when you are stuck making a big change in life, like Diane, moving, that could be a very good opportunity for you. As long as when you're there in establishing your new routines, that's when it's critical to be really mindful of the mental states you're reestablishing as you're reestablishing your physical states, because they all kind of key off of each other. So when you move, I encourage you to just be very mindful of where your mind is when you're in this new place and setting up your new life and moving into your apartment. And this is where kind of the practice of mantras can come in handy. The idea of repeating some kind of phrase in your mind to try to alter your mind state. This has actually come up. The universe has brought this to me 3 separate times recently. One was in a book that Carla gave me from her other teacher that talked about this power of repeating words in your mind. I think that teacher that he taught said use the phrase peace, love, and harmony. So whenever you're feeling out of sorts or struggling, just start repeating those words in your mind: peace, love, harmony, peace, love, harmony. And that came up in the Maitri course that I took, the idea of repeating those phrases about may I be safe, may I be happy, may I be filled with love. And then I don't know if you guys saw, Nick did a podcast the other day, and he talked about how he repeats in his mind, thank you, I love you, thank you, I love you. And so there's this idea that by just repeating words in our mind, it can help create new vibrations in our mind that can help break us out of negative mental states. And so that's something I've been trying to employ more myself, because I always kind of, I don't know, that never really resonated with me a lot when I was on the path before. That's something I've been exploring more. But sometimes we're in such a mental state. I mean, the mind is so turbulent that there's nothing the mind can do to get us out of that state. I don't know if any of you have experienced that. Like I was going through some stuff earlier this week, and I just felt I was struggling to meditate. I couldn't get calm, and I was trying to repeat the Maitri phrases, and it just wasn't working. So I finally just had to go to the ocean and stand in front of the ocean and let the roar of those waves wash over my mind. And so sometimes an external source can help calm the fluctuations of the mind. Sometimes the mind is so wrapped up in itself that it's very difficult just purely through the mind to get out of it. And that's when it can help to try to do something in the physical to help break out of those mental patterns. So I guess I'm saying kind of the overall message of the spiritual path is it depends. I mean, ultimately, it's a journey back to where we are right now. But sometimes, and so I mean, ultimately, it's about just fully accepting the circumstances we're in without any resistance, just fully being okay with where we are, with everything that's happening to us, just accepting and being present. But it can help to do stuff in the physical. But ultimately, it does come back to the mind. I mean, there's, like I said before, there's only, doing the physical stuff can only get you part way there. It is possible fully through the mind to just accept yourself, accept your circumstances without doing anything physical. So the mind part is more important than the physical stuff. And I say this because it can be very easy to think about changing your life. And you see this a lot with travelers, like people who leave their life and go travel. And it can be very helpful at first, being in these new environments, seeing new people, seeing different ways of life. But eventually it can be easy to fall into the trap of trying to chase new experiences, because the novelty itself can help break us out of our minds. But after a while, you even get used to the novelty of new experiences. So that's why I'm saying it can help to do stuff in the physical, it can help to change your life, it can help to get new hobbies. But ultimately, the acceptance comes from within the mind. And I know it's easier said than done. But then ultimately, we're all on the exact spiritual path we need to be on. I mean, Donald Trump, he's on his spiritual path and he's doing exactly what he needs to be doing right now. The Dalai Lama is on his spiritual path. He's doing exactly what he needs to be doing right now. So when it all comes down to it, just relax and enjoy the ride. Because you're doing exactly what you need to be doing right now in this moment. You're doing the only thing that you can be doing in this moment, based on everything that happened before in your life, and in this life and in previous incarnations. So it's all good. Everything's okay. It's all part of the process. Any questions on that? Comments? No, I'm not saying anything new, am I?
You eloquently just summarized everything that I've been thinking about for the last 6 weeks. It definitely resonates. Everybody's on their own path, and it's ironic that when we have moments of remembering that everything is energy and that we are all connected. Thank God for the smile of a stranger, because I take so much power out of that, that having lost family and what I thought were friends and what I thought were acquaintances doesn't matter, because we're connected to everything that's alive. And it's easier said than done.
Maybe that's what's so hard this time in our lives, that people are wearing masks and you don't always see the smile, except sometimes you can see it in their eyes. But it's been difficult. I mean, that's hard.
Yeah, we forget there's a pandemic. That doesn't help.
Yeah.
Doesn't help.
And
Yeah,
sometimes
the social,
Yeah.
and sometimes
yeah, the social isolation definitely does make it harder.
Mm.
Yeah, I wanted to say that to Diane too, because you have to remember this is a time where so many people are suffering, so many people feel alone and lonely and disconnected and isolated. And so a lot of what you're feeling, I'm not saying it's specifically to the pandemic, but I think that that has added so much to all of our lives. I mean, even if, like Helen, if you love being alone, being alone by choice is one thing, but being alone where we're kind of stuck without any options has been really hard on the world, really. And so I just encourage you to not give up and just know that this is going to pass, this really hard time, and that sitting with ourselves and our ego without the distractions is like you're in the fire, and but then out of the fire can emerge a beautiful new reality. So I encourage you to just focus on what you do want, like what makes you happy and what gives you pleasure and peace in your heart, and how can you incorporate that in your everyday life, even if it's the smallest thing, flowers on your table or whatever it is that brings you joy.
Thank you.
Matt, what you said about the way that I word it is, we are a product of our environment, but wherever you go, there you are. And so I struggle with that constantly, because I fantasize about being someplace else. Like, I want to be in my trailer in California, because I would instantly be content and happy. But there's a lot of bullshit associated with that notion, because I'm still going to be there with the same blockades in the end. And Gina, what you just said is so, I want to say, effing important, is that, like, a bouquet of flowers, oh my God, it just elevates the mood. It elevates, and that's, again, we're all energy. And if you could just incline the flow of vibration, just even by looking at a flower or having a couple on your table, it's like, wow, there's momentum right there, wherever I am. And, so, and Matt, sometimes we do need a change. I get that. Like, and it could be a simple one or it could be a big one. So I just identify with you all.
Thank you.
Great. Anyone want to add anything else?
I think I really like what you just said, Matt, about that where we are on our journey is the perfect spot for us right now. I've been taught that before, and it was good to hear that from you. And it's a good reminder, because Diane, you're not alone in your feelings. We all have those feelings. Maybe it wasn't that boyfriend, or it could be something else, but we all have those feelings. And it's good to be reminded that There's a reason that we feel how we feel right now. And we're at the place that we're at for a reason. And if that's part of the process, then this too shall pass, and then we'll get to the next stage or the next phase. It's just it's a journey.
Mhm.
Thank you.
So I like what Matt said about that. This is, where we need to be.
Yeah, I like to emphasize.
Because when you know that,
Yeah, go ahead.
well, when you that's to be, then there's less of a fight. You don't have to try to change it. You don't have to fight it off. We're just passing through.
Right. Yeah, and yeah, I like emphasizing the point that there's nothing more we need to do. We are already exactly, and it's especially spiritual in terms of spiritual development. We're already exactly where we need to be. We don't need to do anything more. And it's the fact that we are trying to do something more that prevents us from being more. All right, well, we're running out of time. Let's meditate one more time. Let's meditate on the third eye this time. So this is the spot right in the middle of your forehead. This is the height right in the middle of your forehead, and it's kind of in the middle of your head, but it's different, and then on every person, it's kind of wherever you feel it should be. And so let's imagine while we're sitting here that every time we inhale, so imagine there's a ball of white glowing light right in that third eye. And every time you inhale, it expands a little bit. And then when you exhale, it keeps expanding. And when you inhale again, it expands a little bit more. And then when you exhale, it just continues expanding out and out forever. So keep that in your mind while we sit here. Inhaling, expanding, exhaling, continued expansion. And if you'd like to use music, you can hit play now. Once more, deepening our inhales, coming back to the body. Mhm. Kitty came to join you, Diane.
Yeah, that's Sasha.
Oh, hi, Sasha. So how do you feel when you're petting Sasha?
Oh, I have two. She's very sensitive and runs away at the slightest noise.
Oh yeah.
So I always feel honored that she would risk even coming on my lap. It's
Oh,
a big deal for her,
mhm.
you know.
Yeah, but how does it make you feel in your heart, your petting her?
It's not alone so much, you know. Yeah.
Great.
Probably make a lot up that I assume she's thinking. I make it up, but it's okay.
Yeah. Well, so sometime that love and that care that you show her, think about showing that love to your heart.
Yeah.
To your I imagine that's what I was saying, like imagine you're holding your pet in your hands. Like sometimes just try imagine you're petting your heart, like you're petting, and then the love that you're giving Sasha, like give that to your it can help to imagine your heart as like an external thing that needs care, needs attention, like a pet. So just sometime sit with that. Just imagine you're petting your heart and just loving your heart like you are Sasha, and see how that feels.
Thank you.
Great. So that's it for tonight. We're running out of time. Any final comments anyone wants to make? All right. Well, thank you all very much for joining me tonight. It was a pleasure as always. So see you all next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.
Hi, guys. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, great to see you guys.
Thank you, Matt. Nice to see everybody.
Yep.